Yes, so Fitzy will go in for Jacob on the back end, and Oki goes in. Krebs will come out, which will put Oki, Krebs, Jost in center with the Gergensons and Akposo.
What happened to Bryce? No one, I don't think anyone really noticed.
Lower body, and it was not an impacted incident that occurred within the game. So I asked the same thing at
Okay.
the end of the period, I should say, before the third. So it was one of those that you can do on your own.
How much will it mean to have Kyle's presence back in the lineup?
Yeah, we miss Kyle every time he's out because he just is such a presence. So it'll be nice to have that back. I think the guys identify, through him a lot as a captain, as the captain, as a leader. It'd be very nice to have him back in.
You've talked a lot about streaks this year. There's been a lot of losing streaks in the league. There's been winning streaks. The Devils just coming off 13 in a row. I mean, what, maybe in their mind, what made them, and just in general, when you win that many games in a row, how consistent does a team have to have their game, their approach be to win that many in a row?
Yeah, I mean they're a young, energetic team that hit a groove and hit a rhythm, and they went on a roll. I think they have their talent. Their young guys keep getting better and better. And again, I talk a lot about here. At some point, you're going to hit a threshold, and you're going to break that threshold. All that struggle becomes easy, and you win more and more and more. And I think they've been nudging toward that, and it appears they've hit it. They have had it. With that maturity, they can play. They're playing more aggressive and assertive than they were last year. They look a little bit more like Florida. I think that that's what you pick up and you watch and you hear people talk about it. They play with that pace, and they always did. I think they've been very well coached throughout. I think now they're maturing, and we're seeing them break that threshold. So it's an exciting team to watch the way they play, and we've got to be ready to match that pace.
Well, we talked about the challenges of having, extra forwards, everybody healthy at this point. But when you added somebody like Yost, who has experience in this league, is it important to also add some internal competition to push guys, especially with where you guys were at before the last two?
Yeah, Jost. I mean, to have him tonight with Zemgus and Akposo, we've talked. I've spoken about Jost having experience being in Colorado, obviously then Minnesota, but he's still a young guy and a talented guy, but he has a wealth of NHL experience. He might even have more games played than a guy like Tuck, for example. I think we looked at that the other day. But so he's still young, but has a lot of experience, a very high self-expectation that he expects more out of himself all the time, and he's hungry for more out of his career. And yeah, it definitely adds competition in the lineup because now it's another guy that we picked up that can bump somebody out, and we know he's capable of playing. We know he fits the criteria we are looking for in young guys with a lot of potential still. And internal competition is great when it's a little bit like that when you're winning. Even the accountability dynamic is natural. And that's the hope of any coach in any organization is that you win, and that takes care of itself through competition.
You spoke with Craig. You guys gave him a good week a lot of times between starts early in the season. But just with the way the schedule is that something that's you're not going to be able to do that all season?
Yeah, I would think not. Keep in mind, early season, you had a whole summer off, and it's very hard for goaltenders to get any quality shots or quality time in the off season. So, at his age, I think at the start of the year was totally different than once he gets into the year and into a rhythm and into game shape. And so I think we're moved into a different phase now with respect to even his conditioning was great coming in, but now it's more of a rhythm of the season. So it's still monitor with all these guys, but it's conceivable he could be ready to play sooner based on some of those elements I just mentioned.
A couple nights ago, you had talked about how the coaching staff had gone over clips with Jack Quinn, did a lot of video with him to help him. When you do that, is it more positive reinforcement, like, Jack, this is what, when you're doing well, this is what you do? Or is it, well, no, you can't do this? Or do you show them, like other players in the league, what they're doing?
Very little of you can't do and don't do. A lot of what you can do, what you should do, what you can take charge, what you can take charge of, what you're leaving on the table for potential success. And yeah, occasionally you would look at other players around the league, and that's how the greatest players in our game have emulated the great players before them. And that's also a real big opportunity to teach or to bring about awareness. So in some combination, everything what you mentioned would be routine, and it may differ a little bit percentage-wise in each area, day to day, but for the most part with the young guys, we talk about being fearless. So if you keep showing mistakes, you're not going to have a guy that's fearless and aggressive. You're going to have a guy that's afraid to make a mistake and conservative. And as you've heard me say a dozen times, nobody gets better playing conservative. And unfortunately, when you go through a streak that we went through where you're not having success, you get a little bit fearful, you become conservative, and you don't get better, and it compounds the whole situation. So, when we're talking with Jack, it's how to play more assertive and more aggressive.
From just a New Jersey point of view with the family connection, can you talk about Casey? I know he's been in and out of the lineup back in tonight, what he brings and where he is in the
high compete for Casey. His teammates will be energized with him in the lineup. He's an incredible team guy, and he's good at what he does. He's a smart, efficient type hockey player that gives us some grit. So we're excited. I've been fortunate to be with him on other teams, so watch the same there.
Thank you. You've mentioned before that the league is kind of trending younger, and how much conviction you guys have in the plan that you put in place here. How much does a team like the Devils, can that be kind of an example to your guys of, like, if you're sticking with it, like, things will turn when that confidence comes?
I think it's a positive, because you can see the process they've gone through just recently, and again, they broke the threshold. So everything is a struggle until you break the threshold, and then everything that was a struggle is easier. Everything. So yeah, that's one thing. But I don't think our guys need another team to gauge their confidence. They are very determined and confident in that they can do it. We're trying to get them to do it faster, but their conviction is strong. Our guys know they're going to break the threshold. Our job as coaches is to try to get them to do that sooner and quicker, and let them know they can do it. Much like I keep referencing Thompson and Dahlin, we had to remind them that they put enough work in. Like I can remember a conversation with Tage a year ago. You are ready to be a goal scorer. You've done enough work. Now you're there. Let's score now. And they clicked in somewhere for him, and I believe that's what's going to happen with our group and our team. Unfortunately, being young, injuries compound things more. But again, when you break the threshold, and we do. I mean, consciously, we made this commitment. We moved out. When I was started, we moved out. Some great older players, from Eichel to Ristolainen to Reinhart to Montour to Eric Stahl to Taylor Hall. I mean, those were players 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 years in the league. We knew what we were getting ourselves into, but we said, hey, we want to do this right. Might take a pounding in the process, but you got to believe in these guys, and you got to give them the opportunity to get over that hump, because too many times you succumb to some pressure in that, and you move guys, and we see guys all over the league that on their second team, all of a sudden they're great. And we just want to make sure that doesn't happen here, and we're seeing it with some of the development.
Can I just ask one more? I know you want to get going. Devils don't have anyone who scored 10 goals, but their depth of scoring is pretty good. They don't drop off that much. Defensively, same thing. They all can contribute, both offensively and defensively. There's kind of a relentless, methodical style to their play. It just keeps happening. No one dominates necessarily. So I don't know if you see that, or just what, from your standpoint, what is the challenge of facing a team that just keeps coming at you kind of the same way?
Yeah, they play their system, they play to an identity, and they hit the repeat button. Is in essence what you're saying. Like I said, they remind me of Florida last year. Same respect. They just had depth, shift after shift after shift. It's the same identity up and down the rink. And a credit to Lindy and his staff and the guys, executing with that clarity, because it's what it is. It's clarity.